Hello and welcome to the Auntie Lisa Show. Let's see what we're going to do today. Right. I need to take this one out. The North Pole blinking Nora. I'm going to find another one. I mean, I'll put it in, don't worry, but you know, that's the rules. Under the sea. Under the... Yeah, okay, stop singing at you. Right. A big hole. Well, there we go. Big hole in the story. Ooh, a potion. Nice. Like that. Goodness me. Auntie Lisa, Alexander and Christopher. Who'd have thunk it? Jack! Yes. And let's have a look in this box. Oh, Claire off of Jurassic World. Ooh, Velociraptor. Should we get one more from the silver one? Uh-oh. The Hairs of Havoc. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. So. One stormy night. Christopher, Alexander and Auntie Lisa decided to go for a spooky walk through the woods. On reflection, this may have been a bad idea because what happened was this. They were walking along in the woods when suddenly they all fell down a massive hole. It was a really big hole. And then they landed on something very squishy. And they went, oh my God, we've fallen down an enormous hole. What on earth has happened? But lucky we landed on something really squishy. Although, I wonder what it is. Well, do you know what it was? No? Then I will tell you. It was the tummy of an enormous frog. See? You didn't think you were going to guess that. So it was the tummy of a ginormous frog that was just lying at the bottom of the hole like this. And it woke up. And it went, hey, what are you doing on my tummy? Get off my tummy, you horrible little creatures. What are you anyway? And Alexander and Auntie Lisa and Christopher said, well, we're human beings. What are you? And the giant frog went, well, can't you see? And they said, no, because, you know, we're under the ground. It's really dark. And the giant frog went, I'm a giant frog. I am the only one in the whole entire world. And Alexander and Christopher and Auntie Lisa went, wow, well, pleased to meet you. Sorry we landed on you. I hope it didn't hurt. The giant frog went, no, it was fine. And he hopped about. And they were like, whoa, careful now. When you hop about, everything shakes. So they soon became friends with the giant frog, whose name was Jeffrey. And they said, well, how are we going to get out of this really ginormous hole? And the giant frog said, it's pretty tricky actually to get back up from the giant hole, but you can go further down the giant hole and through the tunnels. And Auntie Lisa and Alexander and Christopher thought, well, can't climb back up, so we better go along the tunnels. So they went along the really dark tunnels, and all they had was their mobile phones for torches. Like this. keeping an eye out just in case any ghosts turned up. And they used their torchlights to find their way along the tunnels. And all along the tunnels was all full of those sparkly stalagmites and stalactites that dangled down from the ceiling and grow up from the floor made of stone. And they're really pretty. And they had those weird little creatures that live in dark tunnels that glow in the dark. And they were a bit creepy. But they were okay because they were with the giant frog. And the giant frog just bounced along the tunnel, which was quite a big tunnel because the giant frog was giant. Anyway, so they kept going and going and going and going and going until, right, as far down as they could go, it reached a very wet part of the tunnel. And they said, well, what's this, giant frog? And the giant frog went, well, can't you tell? And they went, no. And he went, it's the sea. And Alexander and Christopher and Auntie Lisa went, it's the sea? Under the really? And he went, well, yes, we have travelled through the tunnel for so far that we've reached the sea. And Alexander and Christopher went, cool, okay, let's scuba dive. And Auntie Lisa said, we haven't got any scuba gear, you two. Don't be silly. They went, poops. Just at that moment, they saw some lights under the sea. And the lights were getting brighter and brighter and brighter. And they were like, well, I wonder what that could be under the sea. And so they were looking and looking and looking. And then up popped Claire in scuba gear, closely followed by Owen, because they are good friends. Just friends, mind you. Nothing more. Anyway, Claire popped up and Alexander and Christopher went, Claire, what are you doing here? And Claire went, Alexander and Christopher, what are you doing here? And who's this lovely lady? And they said, well, this is Auntie Lisa. And Auntie Lisa said, well, nice to meet you, Claire. Love the scuba gear. And Claire said, oh, and this is Owen. And Auntie Lisa said, hey, Owen. Anyway, and that then they formed a beautiful friendship. And Claire and Owen explained that they had been scuba diving and had got lost. And then they'd suddenly seen this bright light, which was Alexander and Auntie Lisa's mobile phones and Christopher's mobile phone. And so they'd followed the bright light to find their way out. And they'd been scuba diving through tunnels. And so they all said, okay, this is great. Now we're all together. Now what? And the giant frog went, well, what are you going to do now? I mean, I've been stuck down here for 10 years. And Auntie Lisa and Alexander and Christopher went, 10 years? You're kidding me. What have you been eating? And the giant frog went, And they went, what have you been eating, giant frog? And the giant frog said, well, I have been eating sea slugs. And Alexander and Christopher and Auntie Lisa went, well, that's fair enough, actually. Sea slugs make sense. So, they were all now stuck down the giant hole, which led to under the sea. And they thought, okay, how on earth are we going to get ourselves out of here? And this was a big problem. So, Alexander said, well, what if I call up some of our friends? And then he looked on his phone and went, I haven't got any reception down here. I can't call anybody. This is a nightmare. What am I going to do? So everyone said, look, don't panic. We can solve this. Now, just at that moment, they turned around and they heard a funny noise. And it went... And the giant frog went, oh, did you hear that? And Alexander, Christopher and Auntie Lisa and Claire and Owen said, yeah, we did. Did you hear that? Do you know what it is? And the giant frog went, well, here's the thing. We are really deep under the ocean. And did you know that actually there are loads of fossils deep, deep, deep down under the ocean? And Alexander and Auntie Lisa and Christopher and Claire and Owen went, really? And the giant frog said, yeah, because millions of years ago, loads of dinosaurs died and their bodies sank to the bottom of the ocean. And then over the millions of the years, the layers, and Alexander and Christopher went, yeah, we're familiar with the process of fossilization. So what's the growling? And the giant frog said, well, we are actually right on the spot where 1,000,000 or 300 million odd years ago a velociraptor died, and his ghost still haunts these tunnels. See, here is one of his bones sticking out of the side of the tunnel. And Alexander and Christopher and Auntie Lisa and Claire and Owen all looked, and sure enough could see the shape of the skull of the velociraptor in the side of the tunnel. And they were like, whoa. And then the sound went, and Alexander and Christopher went, oh, and Auntie Lisa went, ah, and Owen and Claire went, oh, blimey, what are we going to do about this? They went a bit British, which is ironic because they're American. Anyway, so they all turned around slowly, and behind them was a very spooky velociraptor, like, and they went, do you think he can still eat us if he's, you know, a ghost? And Alexander and Christopher went, wow, I know, maybe we can zap him with our mobile phone apps. And so they turned around and went, hey, you velociraptor. And the velociraptor went, and it kind of got closer and closer, and they could smell its stinky ghost velociraptor breath. And then they went, pew, 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 pew. And the velociraptor went, hey! And it ran away in a ghosty way through the wall of the tunnel, because ghosts could do that. And they went, well, okay, we didn't manage to catch that one. We gave it a fright. Hopefully it won't cause us any more bother today. So he said, okay, we're still stuck down a blinking hole. What are we going to do? And the frog said, well, maybe we could ask, I guess we could ask the witch. And Alexander and Christopher and Auntie Lisa and Claire and Owen said, the witch? There's a witch? Oh, really? And the frog went, well, how do you suppose I became a talking frog? And they went, ooh, fair point. Yeah. What were you before? And